Hello everybody, and welcome once again to All Things Irish and Rock and Roll. My name is Benny White. Brendan Finglas is behind the camera, and right beside me, the one and the only Rob Strong. Rob!
Wow. Brilliant.
You are very welcome to All Things Irish and Rock and Roll.
Great, Bernard. And I'm delighted to have met you after all these years.
After all these years, we did work together. I worked with your fabulous band, the Plattermen, for a year, but we'll talk about that later.
Very good.
Now, I've recently read your book. And
well, what do you think? I think it's fairly truthful.
55 years in the business?
55, yeah.
That's incredible.
Could be maybe a few more. But
really?
We'll leave it at 55.
That's about as long as I've been in the business too.
Sure you're.
And I know you've had a humble background, like most of us. I had a very humble background, but I believe you were a little bit of an actor when you were a kid, were you?
An actor?
Yes, you used to do impressions of Drunk or some guy or something like that, wasn't it?
I used to do bits and pieces of that there, acting and,
messing around.
Drunk man, messing around, generally messing around, Bernard, but not an actor.
Not an actor, no, okay. No. Well, you could have been maybe in another life.
Oh,
but your first guitar anyway, just tell me about that. When did you pick it up?
Well, how I got into music, Bernard? Or Benny, sorry. Well, I mean, I don't come from a musical background. I mean, I come from a family, my mother and father had 10 of us and a big family, and and well, how I got into music, I used to have to go over I lived outside Derry. I lived in an old kind of, it's a American base during the war, and I was reared there. So I used to go over to the waterside every Saturday, and I used to do the shopping for my granny and do the, whatever, and she'd give me $half a crown and all that kind of stuff. But and I noticed there was an old beat up a guitar, maybe with 2 strings on it, and I to cut a long story short, anyway, I asked her who owned it. She says you can. So I got it eventually and started then.
Lovely.
And then when Springtown Camper was born, there was a few guitar players, Bernie McGinley and his brother Thaddeus McGinley, and there's another fellow called Thaddeus Alex Parsons. So they were all kind of playing a wee bit of guitar. Yeah. So I got a bit of help to learn a few chords. Like, you know yourself, you play a bit yourself. Yeah. So that's how it really started. Really, at that time I wasn't. I was a message boy. I was delivering messages for a grocery store. You know what I mean?
How old were you then, Rob?
15.
15. So basically, I know your first band ever was the Spartans. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So what age were you when you joined the Spartans, and were you on guitar or bass?
I was playing guitar at that time, Benny. I was probably very young. I was maybe 16 or something like that there, and we never really gigged with that band, because the lead guitar player, he had electric guitar and that was it, and I had a Framus guitar. You know the Framus guitar? Yeah. So I used to go every Saturday and pay me 2 shillings off it. Cost me 40 quid,
Yeah.
But there were hard enough times them days because nobody would show you anything, You'd go to the music store there every Saturday and they're all playing. I remember one song, what do you call him, man? Brown. In the nights they are sights to be seen. A picture of you. Joe Brown.
Yeah.
And they were all playing there. Nobody would show you anything in them days, you know what I mean? So it was hard going to kind of learn. So, and I used to go to the dances, the Corinthian ballroom, and I used to go there after the gig, and I'd go up to this guitar player who was with the Polka Dots. His name was Paddy Owens, and I'd asked him, what's that opening chord there for the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night, you know? And there was a G suspended fourth. So that's what I normally would do. I used to go to all the dances and ask guys, how do you play this and play that? But it was hard to kind of get teaching anybody to teach you in them days.
Of course, you know,
you'd have to. I couldn't afford lessons, really, you know.
Yeah. Now listen, you was it with the Spartans that you got only €10 £10 for a gig? There was some.
We done a kind of a party gig. I remember that just a party gig, a birthday party, and I think we got £2 each or something like that. There,
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the only gig we ever got paid for. But you know, we were just very young at that time.
Young,
you know what
course,
I mean? I suppose I wasn't really serious about music at that time. You know what I mean? You know,
it was a pastime in a way, getting the girls if you could.
Well,
for me anyway.
Well, I suppose in them days, you know what I mean, it's very hard to approach a girl, you know what I mean, with the ballrooms, you know.
You were a bit shy, were you?
I think everybody's very shy in them days, you know, Benny, you know, the ballrooms were like, you know, the fellas on one side and the guys on the other side, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, and there was a period of at the dance, there would be a lady's choice.
That's right.
So you'd have to walk across that floor, and there was a big gap, and obviously pick the woman that you kind of fancy.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes you get refused, and then you'd have to walk back. And
the walk of shame.
That's it. Well, it's well said. The walk of shame.
The walk of shame. Yeah.
So, but that was the ballroom days, as you know.
You joined the Paddy McCafferty band.
Aye, Paddy McCafferty. That's they were a Cayley band from Ballroom, Donegal. So
Again, you're on guitar, Rob.
I was playing guitar at that time. Well, I met this fella called Jimmy Hafferty, and his brother, you probably might know, Tommy Hafferty, the jazz guitar player.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
He moved to Dublin. Fantastic. Now, Jimmy Hafferty heard me somewhere playing, and I don't know, he came up to me at a gig. I was doing an old gig in Derry. He says to me, would you be available to play at the weekend? And I wouldn't have the experience at that time. But anyway, here I was playing in the Paddy McCafferty band, the Cayley band, you know, and of course he got me a gig, and then he got me into the band. So he played trombone and he played the accordion, and here I was, like, you know, barely able to kind of, play these songs. But he took a liking to me.
Yeah.
And he got me into the Paddy McCafferty band. I was there for a couple of years, and it was a great experience. I was getting £12 a week, and of course I played £3 a week out of that for my digs and all that there.
And it's a great experience for you.
It was great. It was a great experience. I mean, I had no experience at all, Benny. Really, actually, no experience. And to meet somebody like that, there, such an accomplished musician, that would actually come up and say, what do you do on the weekend? You know, I used to do guitar boogie shuffle band. I used to do that 3 times a night. You know what I mean? Ding. You know.
I know.
But that was a great
special request. Really good. Yeah.
But it was great to get an opportunity to see a man so qualified in music and such a great musician that would come up to me like I could barely kind of play a wee bit and get a start like that, Benny. You know what I mean?
Fair play to him.
It's a marvellous start.
Absolutely. You know? Now, you moved from Derry to Omagh. How old were you around that time?
I was supposed to move to Omagh when I was about maybe 17, 18, you know. I moved to Omagh.
Yeah.
Well, as I said before, I used to go to the Corinthian Ballroom. And I went to the Corinthian Ballroom one night, and Brian Call, what do you call it? The band was playing with the band anyway.
Okay.
The Polka Dots.
Okay.
Brian Cole and Frankie McBride with the Polka Dots. So, and I used to go to the Corinthian all the time and go on after the gig because I couldn't afford the admission fee.
Of course. And
I would go up to Paddy Owens, the guitar player, and he'd show me a few things. Of course, Brian Cole comes over and he's a magnificent personality. Like, he come over and said to me, Robbie, can you play bass? I said, not really. I'm not really a bass player, you know. But anyway, he asked me to come up and play a bit of bass. I said, well, no bass, I've no amp. Brian, if you could organise with me, I'll do a few gigs. So we organised bass and all that there. So to cut a long story short, anyway, I got in and we got me into the band, and here I was a bass player, and I never played bass.
And
he got me a bass, organised me amp and everything, and And he's wonderful, wonderful man, you know.
That's brilliant.
And I was lucky, I suppose, to meet people like Jimmy Hofferty and Brian Call. Brian Call was, I mean, if he likes you at all, Benny, he'd talk to you all night and all day. What a man. So he got me started then. And
Lord rest him, he only died recently as well.
And you know, and I missed too, Benny, I would love to have him. I know. A little bit of peace in the book, and you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
but wonderful man, I mean. But anyway, he got me into the Plattermen then. Of course, he left the band too as well.
Oh, okay.
And he joined the Plattermen.
Yeah.
Of course, you probably might remember a fella called Speedy Hamilton. Big fella, used to do all the Temple of Motown stuff and all the soul stuff.
Can't at the moment, Rob, but go ahead.
Well, he left anyway. Yeah. Of course, Brian was on to me to come in, like.
On bass.
Aye, because I was playing bass with the Polka Dots, and I was singing Cliff Richard songs and all that there. And of course, when I went into the Plattermen at that time, they were doing all the top stuff, reaching out there. Mustang Sally was out of the way, sweet soul music, and I had to sing them songs. And I mean, I was finding it tight. I find it difficult.
No better man.
But anyway, he got me in anyway. So that's.
And it says that was it Eric Bell? He came to audition with the Plattermen, was it, or was it
Polka Dots? The Polka
Dots,
Benny, the Polka Dots. I remember it well.
Yeah, I'm sure he impressed you guys. Like,
well, I mean, I remember we were in Portrush. We were in Portrush, and we were auditioning this young fella that came down from Belfast. So I seen this young fella, and he had a little bit of blonde hair and very young looking, you know, spotty face, and he takes out this 335 Gibson, and I said, Jesus, this fella, where did he get
this? Means business.
You know what I mean? Here I was playing a Hofner bass called 40 quid, and this. I took it out anyway, Benny. And he auditioned anyway, and you know what he played? He played the B-side of Jeff Beck's Hi Ho Silver Lining, and that was Beck's Bolero. If you probably have some famous instrumental, and he played that. And I said to myself, my God, this young man is unbelievable. Anyway, the boys said, of course, I had no real say in the band that time. I was on. So to cut a long story short, anyway, we never went for him. And that was saying, I'll never forget that. You know, the talent he had, you know.
Yeah, and still has.
I would say he was about maybe 18, 17 or 18, you know, at that time. You know?
We were all that age. One time. You had a liking for motorbikes, Rob. You and
well, Brian Call is when me and him were such great friends for many, many years, and of course, he was fanatic in motorcycle racing. He used to go to all Brands Hatch and all that. He go to Dundrod, and he used to go to all the races. Of course, he got me to go and did, but. And then I eventually ended up getting a bike too as well.
Okay, can you remember the bike?
So, but it was a Suzuki 125. 125.
One of those
myself. Wee small one, you know. So then I upgraded into the 250 Super 6. You know, that was a rocket like. But he was, he wanted to enter the motorcycle racing. I mean, he was fantastic on a bike, Benny, fantastic. Wow. And he could do all the 250s and 350s and the 750s, the sound of them, and they're coming around, you know, he could imitate them. Yeah. But I used to go to all the races. We used to go to Dundrod, and we used to go to the Isle of Man with him and all. Yeah. And I actually met him in the Isle of Man there about 4 or 5 years ago, you know, and I hadn't seen him in a long, long time. Wow. And Benny, he wasn't good, you know. He wasn't good, I could tell, you know. I know. He was there with his 2 daughters, but he would never miss anything like that, you know.
Yeah. The band really that pushed you forward was the Plattermen. Can you remember the year that the first Plattermen?
Well, I mean, I suppose it was you came into the band 73, was
73, I was a late comer.
Aye. So it was probably maybe 72, really, Benny, 72. I mean, like I started when Brian left. Yeah. See, Brian left at maybe 71, 72, and he wanted to go all country. Yeah. Which he started with the Brian Call and the Buckaroos. Yeah. So then, that time, you know, and Jerry Michael Duff, he had left as well, and Alan McCartney had left the band. So this was where you came into the band too.
Well, Simon Scott was first, though.
Simon was there. You're right. Simon was there. So Simon left. He left the band, and of course, when he left the band, he joined big chief in the Indians or the Apaches.
Big chief in the Apaches, from Mullingar.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, and then they brought me out to the front too as well, you know, and we started getting into all this American music with Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears.
Absolutely.
Chase.
I remember seeing the band actually before I went to you, and I'd heard so many things about the band being brilliant. And I went to hear you in Moran's Hotel.
Moran's, that's a long time
And you
back.
came out, and my God, and you seem to be like directing the brass section of the band, you know, for this particular song. And I just thought, my God, these guys are brilliant. And it was super band, Rob.
We worked hard at that. We were doing all that Blood, Sweat and Tears stuff in Chicago stuff at the time, Benny, and we used to be practice. In them days, we'd practice 4 days a week. You know, we'd practice Monday to Friday.
That's
and
dedication,
and that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And to play that music, so I was big into that, of course. And Simon was in the band that time, you know, and so for some known reason, you know, we thought Simon would take off a bit, you know, because he looked like Engelbert Humperdinck, you know,
Absolutely.
and the women loved him, and he was singing.
he was.
But
nice,
you know, he was a good-looking fella,
frontman,
good frontman.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work, and then whatever happened, I started doing this Blood, Sweat and Tears stuff, Chicago stuff, and that seemed to take off. So they pushed me out to the front though, and so then you know, and that's how then Simon eventually left. Then you know, so and this is we needed another singer, so this is where
he came in, then?
and this is where Benny comes into play then,
yeah.
And like you were singing all that Deep Purple stuff, and I mean,
we've done a mixture. I remember doing a song by Genesis once, and the next song after that was. What was that? The song was "I Know What I Like," and
right.
I like, and then the next, and you'd sing a song, then I would sing, "Hey, did you happen to see?" So it was a great variation. Brilliant. And then you'd belt it out again with another belter, if you like. But it was a wonderful time.
But it was a good old time. You enjoyed it. You enjoyed yourself.
I loved it. I mean, to be singing with Rob Strong
and Noel Bridgman,
and
Philip
Donnelly, Lord rest him again, and of course Ray Pat, and John on the best brass section.
It was a great
country.
Band. Great band. There were good times, but you know, I suppose it's very hard to kind of keep. It was hard to keep the band. It was going from music was changing, and the ballrooms was changing, and you know,
I think you were the only band of Plattermen that actually played Blood, Sweat and Tears. You know, stage band.
You couldn't dance to it. It was really bad. You know?
Yeah, I know that, but you were the only band that done that stuff, and it was very popular. I loved it. But I wouldn't have been able to sing it now.
We would have been restricted, as you know, too, as well. We couldn't go into country places now.
Yeah.
I remember us playing the ballroom in Birmingham, and I mean, we'd done 3 songs, and you better get these fellas off the stage. Like,
I know.
You couldn't dance to us, like, you know. We couldn't do The Traveller's Friend and and Castle Power.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't last the 3 songs, you know. Yeah. So we were limited in our areas, you know.
You've done some recordings with the Plattermen as well. I know you had a couple of albums out.
We done the Old Devil Wine one. That was the very first one.
Yeah.
This song is all about wine. And I'd like to dedicate it to all my fellow winos, especially the boys in the band. Oh, devil wine, it's got me in its power. Oh, devil wine, make me lose my car. Closing far. Once I was a proud man till I started drinking wine. Now I shiver here on Main Street with my hand out bomb and die. Lord have mercy. Oh, devil wine, sell my soul to get you. got me too far gone to pull through. Last week I was desperate, tried to break into a store. Cop came up and grabbed me, said I won't be around no more. Took me away.
Yeah. We went to England and recorded an album over there for Philip's Phonogram. Mm-hmm. We had a record deal now, but I think we got 40 grand to do 3 albums at that time.
Not bad money at that time.
It was good. We went over anyway, and we finished the album, done it over there in England. It was all original stuff we done that time. Mm. And this is where, Simon, the record company weren't really interested in Simon at that time, okay. So to cut a long story short, Simon kind of left and, as you know, joined the Apaches and stuff like that there. Yeah. And we kind of went out and, so when we made that album anyway, it never came out anyway, Benny.
I remember when I was with the Plattermen, there were 1 or 2 of you were fond of the old drink, Rob, isn't
1 or 2, the whole lot of us.
The whole lot of us, yeah. Well, the whole lot of you, but... there
were drinking days, and there wasn't much drugs. There was a few bit of hash or something like that. Yeah. Very little of that, but I think... As you've seen it in the Plattermen, you've probably seen it in other bands, show bands. Yeah. The drink was the big thing.
It was before and after the gig.
Oh, before and afterwards,
and on the way, if you had it.
Oh, serious problems with drinks.
Yeah, and of course, it's 30 or 40 years you haven't touched any drink, isn't it?
Well, I haven't. 40 years. 40 years. I'm off it now, Benny. I'd say you're off it yourself too. Quite a few.
No.
I can tell by your complexion.
The sunshine. No, I still take the odd point. But,
well, that's good. Well, it's good to have to go to the pub and have a few pints and enjoy a few pints.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't do that. I had to stop. Now, because my marriage was on the rocks and stuff like that. And I'm married to a very kind of a woman that stands no nonsense, as most women are. So I just woke up one morning and I stopped, and it wasn't easy now. Okay. I went to a couple of AA meetings and got a bit of advice, but here I am now, 40 years later, and talking to yourself. And
looking great, Rob.
Well, you're looking great. You've got great head of hair. I wish I had some of that hair done.
Just a bit of snow on the roof, but otherwise it's okay. Now, the Plattermen broke up after the year, as Philip Donnelly said to me, Benny, we'll probably be breaking up in a year.
That's right.
And I think that's exactly how long more the band lasted.
How long were you in the band? You were in the band for
I was in the band a
year.
And I remember the last gig we done. I think we done 3 or 4 gigs that week, and we were expecting a good few mulas.
Aye.
And it ended up we didn't get any. I can't remember the place that we were, but I remember we were all very upset about that. The money went to someone else.
Aye.
I won't go into.
Well, sure, you probably know the answer to that question.
I do know the answer to that question, and I'll never forget it. And
well, this is it. The band. It's terrible.
It's a pity.
It's a pity how things end like that.
Yeah.
It's different nowadays. We've grown up. People want to leave the band. It wouldn't upset you. But them days, when you had such a good band together and great people in the band, and to see it breaking up, it's heartbreaking, and you kind of lose your enthusiasm for quite a while too as well.
Yeah,
and your confidence goes a bit too as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it's hard to get really good people, great musicians, and work together and stay together for a long time. We had that with the Plattermen for quite a few years. Yeah, but then, it's. There's always reasons for these things to happen, Betty.
There is, because
and good reasons too as well. But you carry on. It's the way it is. So you've carried on, and I've carried on. We're always in the music and doing our gigs and what we love and getting paid, and it's very important to getting paid. It's very important to get paid too as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you have guys running off at the money here and there. It's time to.
That was a little bit
to form up a part-time guerrillas hit squad.
But it wasn't you guys, But anyway, we'll leave that one there. Now, now, Rob, the Plattermen have split up. Okay, sad. I'm sure it was a sad day for.
They were great
because of all the work that you put into it, and I know you did. And so you're in Dublin, and you either joined or you formed a band called the Giants.
Yes, that's that'd be this.
So you had Mick O'Hagan, you had his brother Johnny Logan, or
That's
Sean.
it. Yeah, Sean.
And Danny O'Keefe was on drums, Brian Harris on guitar.
On guitar, yeah.
And at one time, then you had Jimmy Gaynor on guitar.
Jimmy Gaynor.
That's some lineup.
With two guitar players at one time.
That is some lineup.
It was a very good band, very excellent band. We rehearsed a good bit too, Benny.
Yeah.
Out in Sean's house, the family home out there.
Yeah.
We didn't do an awful lot of gigs. We done a few festivals. We used to do a lot of gigs for Louis Walsh, like, you know, we'd be going up to Donegal and back and all, doing long journeys.
And at the roads then weren't great.
Oh no,
up to Donegal.
Brian Harris wasn't too fond of now the long journeys. Now, you know what I mean. He liked the handy ones, as you know yourself.
Of course.
But it was a good harmony type band. We were doing Doobie Brothers stuff and Crosby, Stills and Nash stuff like that. There, you know, and really good harmony stuff. But it didn't last in some ways. You know, Mick was working during the day, and Sean was learning his trade as an electrician and stuff like that. You couldn't do a lot of kind of long journeys, but Brian, you know, didn't like the long journeys. But it was a good band. Jimmy then, I think Jimmy left and he went to England.
Yes.
Went to England at the time,
Yeah,
so
Jimmy
he's
Gaynor,
done
that's
quite
right.
well in it. I seen him on television, the Tube or something. Do you remember that? I remember seeing him with some band.
Okay, yeah. Oh, he did.
And that was the last time I seen him. Benny.
he put it up on his appearance on Facebook anyway.
The Tube,
so I did see it, Jimmy.
So
now,
I haven't
the
seen
Las Vegas show band, did this come before the Giants or after the Giants?
I came after the Giants.
Okay.
No, I really sold out there, Berlin. I really
so
have,
you're with Kelly
really have sold out.
Right? We've all sold out. Don't feel too bad.
So we've
Rob.
sold out.
So you played with us for and of course, like me in the times, you know, we had to wear uniforms and stuff like that.
Of course.
You know, you have to put on a show.
And them uniforms are very bright red jackets, like with white trimmings and white pants, and we had these three platform boots with stars striped boots, like Penny, you know.
Yeah, wow! I remember having those.
But it worked. I mean, it's a show band, you know, and at least you know you've had the experience of, on the beat scene and the blues scene and the rock scene, and you've had the experience with the show band scene, and I've had that, so we know what's required. So, I mean. I shake your hand. You have sold out, and I have sold out. You know what I mean? So you have to live too as well.
Well, you have to make a living, exactly.
Of course.
And you know, I'm sure the Las Vegas show band they were all great musicians.
Aye,
because in the times,
good musicians,
fabulous band.
You know, in them days, it was really way back to the 70s. That band, it wasn't a 70s band, but. Yeah. You know, you rehearsed 3 or 4 times a week and all that there. Yeah. There were fairly good musicians in that band.
Absolutely, yeah.
There was a young fella in the band, Niall, what do you call him?
Niall Power.
Niall Power.
The drummer, yeah.
He came in, he was only about 17 now.
Wow.
And, you know, and there was a band leader called Ray Doherty. You know, he was a bit strict and all that there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember this young fella coming and I could listen to him play, you know, and Ray didn't particularly like him, you know. Mm-hmm. But I said to him, this young fella's got great potential, you know. And he had great potential, you know. And he owes it, you know, he's never mentioned that to me to this very day. He
then turned into another band, Ireland's Bandstand.
Oh, it's getting worse now than it is. That's
really selling it.
It's getting really worse. I mean, I'm getting so bad now, I won't be allowed into Derry.
It's part of your history, though, Rob. You
know? It is, of course.
Again, all musicians, they chopping and changing and doing this. And it's all about making a living.
Well, this is it. I mean, you probably are familiar with Dave Cody.
Yes.
He's a trumpet player. He was with the Big Eight. And, you know, they were huge in Vegas for years and years and years.
That's right.
So that's all that's an American attorney mix-up, and I don't know the second name at the minute. Like. So he got in contact with Dave Cody anyway, like, and of course, he came over to Ireland and they started auditioning and this and that and that's it. And, Tina was in the band.
Tina,
okay.
Yeah.
Tina's in the band, and Johnny Murphy from Tullamore, another great singer. And another band with great musicians, like, you know what I mean? And I was on it too as well. Of course, I was singing kind of country stuff and duets with Tina and stuff like that there. But it was just a show band type thing, and you know, kind of doing what the big 8 does, you know, and all that there.
And
So
and that was in Vegas, was it?
that was so the band was all very good, and of course Dave Cody, like, you know, doesn't go out to Vegas, but to cut a long story short, anyway, we done a couple of when we went to Vegas, there was an air strike.
Okay.
There was nobody coming into the town at all. And nobody come to the show. So nobody turned up at the shows, and we tell you truth. And here you have this 8-piece band here stuck in Vegas, you know, with this guy, you know, an attorney guy who brought us out, you know. It was very messy, you know, money-wise and all that there.
That's what just
so it lasted about maybe a couple of months out there. Okay. So to cut a long story short, anyway, we never got a penny out of it. So I decided to stay anyway because I'd rented my car, rented my house out for a year, and a lot of the people went home. So I went to Kansas City, me and Martin McElroy, Richie Buckley and Sack and a girl singer.
Wow.
We got some work in Kansas City. We worked in a little bar there, you know.
That's great.
And from this guy called Mike Murphy, who wasn't Irish, he was Jewish actually. He changed his name, and he used to call it Murphy's Bar. And we used to play there, and all we had was a sax, bass guitar, drums, and a girl singer.
Sax, bass guitar, and drums.
And it's a strange lineup. Wow. So we worked there for maybe a guts of a year. And of course, I mean, I was kind of drinking them days too as well. Yeah. So I woke up one morning, my wife had gone, and Andrew was only a nipper at the time. Yeah. So I came home, and that was the end of that.
and would you be playing every night of the week, Rob, or just?
In Vegas, you would be. You'd be doing.
No, in Kansas City.
Kansas, I'd be doing 6 nights a week.
6 nights
one
a week.
day
It's
off.
hard old graft.
It was hard graft, you know, but we made a few dollars now, you know.
Good.
We were getting at that time we get around about $500 each, which was very good money now, you know.
Absolutely.
So anyway, but I mean, I was terrible problems with the drink too as well at that time. So as I say before, my wife kind of went home, and I just had to just get my act and come home, and so that was the end of the Las Vegas trip. That just
again, but it's something
disaster really.
Yeah,
you know?
It was a disaster for some other Irish
for a lot of people, like, and you know, who had rented their houses and all that for a year and all that there. And
I know that Ray Moore from the Plattermen went over there to Vegas as well.
I think he went with the Big 8.
The Big 8, that's right. With
Paddy Cole
and Brendan Barr,
Well, they done well. They done well. From Pat Chester's with the sax player. With the
Pat Chester's.
He was in the band too as well.
Yeah.
So they done extremely well.
Really, yeah.
Really well done well.
That's fantastic. Of course, Brendan Barr has left us a few years ago.
Brendan, sure.
Now then.
What's next? Next?
Oh, I'll tell you now, boy.
That sheet is good.
You mentioned the commitments there, and Andrew. Sorry, you mentioned Andrew. I remember holding Andrew in my arms
my God.
when he was a tiny little baby. Wow. I think Noreen, probably, or yourself, let me hold him for a minute. But that was my first introduction to Andrew. But you must be very proud as well of his. I mean, he's done incredible with the commitments.
You know.
Fantastic voice.
I do. My wife knew the people knew some of the people who were casting. I forget their names now. You know what I mean? So I said to him, "Oh, well, why don't they send?" I took him into the garage, and I put him through. Take me to the river and Mustang Sally.
Oh, great.
And you know, he was finding it difficult and hard to handle. He done that too as well. So I had to take the keys down for him a bit, you know. But he had it out. Take me to the river. He made a fair enough job at that one now, you know. And so anyway, I put him through them and me. I made him sing them and all that there, you know. And he had a good idea to me. So he sang "Take Me to the River," and I mean, he got the part on me, Benny. So
that's
that was it. He didn't.
I met you. Excuse me. I met you somewhere in Dublin, and you were outside my car, and I was driving somewhere. And I said, "Rob, how are you?" I don't know where you. Maybe it was Lombard Street. You were coming or going somewhere.
Oh.
And I hadn't seen you for a while. I said, "Hi, Rob, how you doing?" And you started to tell me about this movie, The Commitments, which was getting great reviews. And you were saying, "Oh, I've seen it, Benny, and you want to see it. It's absolutely brilliant." But I didn't realize how good it was until I saw it. But you probably forgot about that, did you?
Not really.
No, about meeting me. I mean, you know. The Rob Strong Band.
I can hear the wind blowing in my mind, just the way it used to sound through the Georgia pines. And you were there to answer when I called. You and me, Lord knows, we had it all. Remember when I used to touch your hair, yeah, yeah, reaching for the feeling that was always there. You were the best thing in my life I can recall. You and me, we had it all. I know that we could never live those times again, so I let these dreams take me back to where I've been. And I'll stay with you, babe, just as long as I can. Oh, it was so good. Oh, it was so good. Oh, it was so good when I was a man.
Now, the Rob Strong Band has been going for a long time.
Oh, Jesus.
And I must say, you've had some brilliant musicians playing.
That was, who do we have that light a bit? Philip Downey was there for a while, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
Philip and, James Delaney. James Delaney and drums. Fran Breen. Drums, and Mark Costigan. Mark Costigan, no, it was Mark Costigan, Fran Breen, Carl Gertie and sax.
That's right.
Big tall fella, left-hand guitar player.
Yes, I know.
That was a great band, band, very, very good band. Absolutely. That band lasted for quite a few years, you know.
Yeah. So when you go out to play now, well, not now at this moment because of COVID, but before that, it would just be under your own name, isn't it? It's not the Rob Strong Band; it's just Rob Strong.
Just Rob Strong Band, whatever, you know. Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And but even since then, you've gone through some amazing musicians, mostly young lads, younger.
Well, I think. Well, I mean, Anto Morelli was playing me for 20 years and stuff like that there. So,
Married man.
sometimes I think some of the fellas that our age, Benny, you know, like yourself, myself, I can tell by talking to you that you still have a great passion for music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have that passion. You know. And I mean, I'm the type now. If I go to Ballykelly tomorrow, I'll go up and go back. You know what I mean? It wouldn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of younger musicians are, you know, can't handle that traveling and all that there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of younger players like Mark Hoskin and all that there. They wouldn't have the passion like about going abroad. I mean, I go to America tomorrow. Yeah. You probably would if you got a gig, 3 or 4 weeks to do a gig and that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of players have. As they get older, they don't want to go too far. You know what I mean? It doesn't bother me if I jump in the car and drive. Yeah. Oh, let's go up to Ballykelly, I'd stay over and drive that the next day. I wouldn't do it all in the one lick. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah.
But I think your passion will always be with you, Benny. And
absolutely.
And your age, if your health is good and all that, that's the main thing. Absolutely. But if you have your passion about music, it'll never go.
A little song to record off our last album, a little thing called "Giving It Up." Listen to me, girl, every word I've been saying. Hot is cold, and cold is hot. I'm a little mixed up, but I give it everything I got. Don't want your money, baby, don't need your car. I'm doing all right so far. I'm giving it up for your love, everything. I'm giving it up for your love right now. I'm giving it up for your love. I said everything. I'm giving it up for your love somehow.
How's the COVID affected you, Rob? I mean, you were playing regularly. I know that.
I would be now.
Three-piece band.
Would be now. Aye.
And it must. No, I wasn't playing much. You know, I sort of went one piece and I got pretty fed up with it.
Well, aye, yeah. It's a bit lonely too, as well.
Yeah, it is a lonely gig. But you continued on playing right up, quite regularly, as I said. So when COVID hit, that must have been an awful shock.
It was. I mean, I done one gig there last Friday there in the Moat, the Moat Club in Naas, and there was only 55 people, but it was great. They could play it.
Last Friday?
Yeah, last Friday.
Oh, wow.
So I haven't done a gig since 10 months, March, you know what I mean? So I haven't done a gig,
Yeah. March
so it was, year, and you'll always know when you're fun. But I mean, I'm the type now. I'd practice a lot every day. I would practice the bass. There wouldn't be a day going by I wouldn't practice.
Yeah.
And the odd time, to go to the gig, I'd have to kind of test the voice, see if it's all right.
Absolutely.
So my voice was grand, and there's no problems there. You can always tell by your voice. You know your voice, and you know yourself. You're a well-experienced singer yourself. And you'd even tell by getting up in the morning and even speaking. Yeah. You can tell in your voice. And once you know your voice and all that. There.
Well, I woke up this morning. Well, sorry. When I do wake up in the mornings, I'll speak like that.
Oh, are you that low? Or
Roger Moore, type, so very low. And then as the day goes on, it goes up and up.
Okay, once you get up in the morning and you start speaking,
even talking,
But you know your voice, being a singer, you know your voice as well.
Yeah.
As anything,
Yeah, well, your voice is certainly unique. You're the best soul singer.
Well, I mean,
I mean, everybody. By the way, it's all in this book here, Still Going Strong. Okay, this is a brand new book about Rob's life, and it's written by Paul Holland, and there's incredible photographs in it. And I would definitely recommend this. Still Going Strong.
Still Going Strong.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. But you're very well respected by the musical fraternity. There's no doubt about it.
Aye, well, it's like yourself, Benny. I'm easy come. I don't need anything. I'm happy enough in my life, and I think music is a big part. If I didn't have music now, I don't know. I probably wouldn't.
What would you be?
What would it be exactly? What would it be? What can I do, Benny? Is the question there? What can I do? I mean, I'm not very good at anything else. As my wife would say, Rob, Rob's not very good at doing that. There, you know what I mean? So great to get that in now, because my wife would be listening to that there. But she'd be saying that. She'd be saying to you, Benny. Well, Rob's not very good at doing them things, which I'm not, what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't be handy,
I'm pretty useless too.
And I'm the same, anything music and that's it,
Yeah, exactly. It's your life.
I'm lost without unless I need to have conversations or see musicians every day,
Of course, your daughter as well, Niamh.
Niamh,
Niamh is a pretty good singer. Now, I haven't had the pleasure yet, but I will one of these days.
She is she's very natural, very natural
footsteps,
singer. Right? She's
really,
great.
Yeah.
Can do when she plays tin whistle fabulous at the jigs and reels now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she is she'd be a natural singer now, Benny. She could take a song and twist it around anywhere.
So it's in the blood. I mean, there's Andrew, there's
Andrew,
yourself.
Well, Andrew is he hasn't gigged at all. He'd done a few gigs in Denmark there a couple of months back there. But Andrew's a good musician too, a very good musician. But Niamh is the one now. Is kind of her vocal ability now. She would be the one. Now I have a younger daughter again. She's a chef, and she's playing bass now. She's playing bass about 8 months now, and she's really good hands, and you can tell.
That's one thing I noticed about your playing, by the way, Rob. Whenever you're playing, there's all these notes coming out of your, but you barely see your fingers moving.
Aye.
Now, has that ever been said to you before?
Well, funny enough, you're not the first person to say that to me.
I remember that when I saw you.
I don't know, but whatever way, everybody's got their own niche of playing.
It must be your fingers.
So, I mean,
they're big hands, aren't they?
Well, they're average, and wouldn't be, you know what I mean. But people are different, the way plays. You probably would play obviously different. You would do. Everybody finds their little niche way of playing things.
But it's amazing the way that you can play, because you barely see them moving. All these wonderful notes that come out.
Well, I'd be a straightforward kind of root bass player. I'd be one of your 60s players. I wouldn't be your slap, your the slapping type thing. I wouldn't be into that. I'd be into kind of fellas like John McVie out of something like that there. And Jack Bruce, he was a fabulous guy. Fabulous player, but
he was.
You find your own niche as your experience. You know where you sit comfortably, and that's what it's all about, really.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Do you still have the same guitar, or did you change over the years?
No, I don't have the same. I have a couple of Fenders. I have a 5-string, which I never play. I have a 4-string. I bought myself a 4-string a jazz bass. It's a 60s reissue.
Okay.
So I love that. I love the 4-string. I'll never play the 5-string. So if you're looking for a 5-string, I can sort you out there.
I can't even play 2. But anyway, listen, Rob.
Yes.
Have you any regrets?
I think we all have regrets, Benny. I'd say you have a few regrets, and you probably know what I'm talking about. I think in the days of the 60s, the 70s, I mean, it was crucial for you to leave your own country, and go to England and go somewhere. Look at all the greats, like, I mean, Van Morrison, Rory Gallagher, and Thin Lizzy, and it goes on, and George Best and Alex Higgins and all that there. So there has to be something in that. They all went abroad, and I think that's probably. You probably might feel the same. I would be connecting with you there on that one, would you?
Yes, I many regrets myself, Rob, of course, and
well, not too many.
I did go abroad. No, but I did go abroad, but we always ended up back home, you know.
Well, this is it. I think in the mid '60s, on it there, maybe early '70s at the latest now, but you would have had to just get out of this country, because this country had, well, not much to offer for us. You know what I mean? For doing your own type of music.
Yeah.
I mean, as I say, if it were the '60s, the '70s, maybe and you get up to the '80s, you know, it was all about the ballrooms.
That's right.
And, you know, and you had to play the old time waltzes and the ladies' choice and all that there and all that stuff. You know, we have done that.
Yeah.
As we said further on, and
yeah.
we sold out, you know.
Yeah.
But deep down in your heart and my heart, you know, we should have would have spent a few years in England and I think we'd have
built up a following. Or
well,
whatever,
you'd have been doing, you'd be connected more with people there with what, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's different now. You don't have to do it now, but that's my regret.
That's
and
true,
I think it is, you know, it can be hurtful in some ways.
Yeah.
You go to bed at night and you start wondering about your career and you start thinking, obviously, you know, and I'd be thinking and thinking and thinking. You'd be talking to yourself and all. And, you know, and you do have the regrets, you know what I mean? But, you know, you're happy now at this stage of your life. And
well,
so
this
am I.
is it, Rob, because you still have the work. It's there for you. You still work away.
And I'm healthy enough to do it, yeah.
People go along to hear you on the band, and I will certainly make it my point of going to your gigs when we start to gig.
And
again,
I'm looking forward to seeing you gig, because I haven't seen it since the TV Club '73, like.
That's
and
true.
I'm sure you're a good night now, vocally.
Not bad. Rob, it's been an absolute
Jesus.
pleasure.
Benny, not a pleasure at all. It's been wonderful.
And this is Rob
wonderful,
Strong.
and I'm glad to meet you.
Thanks a lot. This
Cheers.
is Rob Strong,
Cheers,
ladies and gentlemen, the best soul singer, probably the best singer in the country anyway, for my money. God bless, and thanks for listening.
And now the final curtain. The cheering crowds all head for home. The stage is empty. I feel forgotten, all alone. Someone turns a key, switches off the light. The echoes of the footsteps retreat into the night. Shadows on the empty roads. The show is over. We had some good times. We say goodbye to everyone. We've made some memories. Let's all have a drink and a little fun. And now we find our way back to the start. Wait in the wings and find another part.